Hello, everyone. It is here upon us. It is time for me to get through this so that we can move on to our next playthrough and a quick a video maybe in between or something. We'll see about it. But yeah, it is time, everyone, for the one-shot closing thoughts. Let's get to it. And I just want to say, wow, this game, very, very impressive. I know I tried to finish this before the next New Year. But anyways, it's New Year's, so Happy New Year's. 2024. Let's get it. But I didn't get the closing thoughts out in time. I finished the game before then. I got it all uploaded, and if I wanted to, I could have been like, yeah, let's just continue on to the next game. But no, we got some stuff to talk about with one shot. Albeit maybe like there are characters to talk about here, definitely quite a bit. Gameplay wise, probably there's actually not much here. The game is rather short. I think it took like 7 hours for me to complete it for the first one, and then an extra 3 on top of it, which was the solstice route. So it took me a bit long and whatnot, or so it's only took me like 10 to 11 hours to beat the game, probably. Um, so yeah, uh, let's start off with gameplay. The gameplay here. This is a puzzle aspect game that pretty much just has you walk and talk to people. That's pretty much it. If you're looking for a game with gameplay, One Shot is not it. Alright, One Shot is a story-driven dialogue character to talk to game. That is what this is. It is no gameplay game and whatnot. But even then, within that, One Shot is a beautiful game, and the song playing "Burden in Light" ad ad ad. But yeah, One Shot, pretty much this game helps alongside with, the music, the story, and the characters. So let's start with the music and whatnot. The vibes that the music gives is somewhat of a depressing kind of, somewhat like atmospheric music. Generally, like the game's coupled with its meta gameplay and whatnot. Albeit, I do have to mention that the game does drive on meta and whatnot, which makes the gameplay a lot better and whatnot. But other than that, the gameplay isn't much from there. But the music in this game is just beautiful and whatnot, but it's just really depressing. It's kind of like a slow development into death for like the game and whatnot. And it doesn't help that like generally consisting of the atmosphere in this game and whatnot. It really kind of drives down to whether or not how you feel towards the final choice towards the end of the game and whatnot. But generally, this game leaves us into a sad realm. I don't think epiphany is the right word here because I don't think it makes sense, but it really it kind of clutches you down with the citizens of this world because of how gloom and doom the world's in, which is why Nico is the Messiah and your God. But yeah, the music here has so many bangers. If I look in here, like my Burning is Lights, Someplace I Know, Phosphor, Silver Point, Geothermal. There's a lot in here though that are absolute bangers. What is it? Alula on Little Cat Feet, and one of the to it's either to sleep or to dream, or it's probably both of them and whatnot. And then like and then Simple Secrets, Uh, I'm here. Nico and the World Machine, self-contained universe. Thanks for everything. Oh my gosh, like this game is filled with some absolute slapping bangers. I put a lot of it on um my music soundtrack on YouTube and whatnot. But yeah, the music here is just really the music here is really drives a beauty within this. I really wish I had an ad blocker here. But yeah, like it's just really nice to get the overall understanding of the world through the music itself, because a lot of it's just saddening. And you're trying you look you talk to every NPC in the game and whatnot, and you just feel just lost with them. Like the robots are not programmed to feel and whatnot, but everyone else, like humanoid and whatnot, is all just like trying to brace or embraces death or just tries to brace for it. It's the vibe here is really sad and whatnot. And I think that's really it I can talk about the music and whatnot. Because as much as I want to talk more about it, like I think really it's gonna come across towards the characters and the story and whatnot. So let's start off with the characters. Albeit there's not a lot of like there's not too many connections and whatnot within here, but a lot of the characters give this sort of vibe and like come from these areas, since this is a very read heavy game as well. Not on the level of Danganronpa, not on the level of any visual novel. And yeah, it's just let's start off with Proto Prophet, or yeah, the Prophet and whatnot. Prophetbot, the one we meet initially, is not tamed, but is more so speaking than any other robot. And generally, kind of like how he is amongst the Barons alongside two other characters and whatnot, and pretty much his whole purpose and like existence is to pretty much tell the Messiah of what he must do and whatnot with the sun and light bulb. He doesn't get much character outside of it, but generally the robot is like to tell you of all mentions me, or the pretty much the player and whatnot, who's one of the two protagonists, or in this case I would like to say deuteragonist. I think it's really kind of interesting how we are kind of the deuteragonist of this game, whereas Nico is the protagonist and whatnot. But pretty much like the game helps with, or the game or Prophetbot helps with pretty much guiding the Messiah on what his journey is going to be before we continue with me and Nico and whatnot. So yeah, that's Prophetbot. The other person is Robot. Robot, you know, he's a robot. He doesn't get much, but you have to help him out and whatnot. You have to put on like this oil to unrust him and whatnot. And pretty much he guides you and takes you to the Glen and whatnot. Robot doesn't have much outside of that, but pretty much thanks to you restoring the power and whatnot, Robot makes his journey back to the Barrens to see it to the end, I guess, and whatnot, and we never hear from him again. Then we get our pretty much main character here, which is which would be Silverpoint. Silverpoint is a tamed female robot who I believed was initially a boy, but is actually a female robot, and pretty much has a connection to Kip in whatnot. In Kip is in the city and whatnot, so yeah, which has on Little Cat play. But yeah, Silverpoint is a pretty much one of the three important characters of the neutral, who comes to conjoin in, or yeah, in the neutral ending and whatnot, for your choice and stuff. And pretty much the the character is the head engineer and pretty much kind of depressed and whatnot of a way, and kind of I think supposed to be what Kip's future or legacy would be on, but pretty much Silverpoint is to go ahead and help you alongside, and you also can play chess with them and whatnot. Since Kip gives you, I think, the final thing that you need, which is the amber for the barons, before you leave. And really, Kip helps alongside. Whereas the barons is pretty much a depressing, like, kind of like ruins area and stuff and whatnot, compared to the Glen and the city and whatnot. Silverpoint pretty much stays there to kind of, I guess, just be like the loner, but obviously, Silverpoint plays a more bigger role in Solstice. Not as big as the other character in it, but Silverpoint will come alongside you into the ruins and whatnot, and pretty much at first you go into the mine and whatnot, expecting there's something there, but there's not really there for you in the neutral ending. But compared to the Solstice one, however, you gotta go there and stuff to figure with the book and whatnot in the Solstice route. And Silverpoint manages one of the computers that turns on and stuff, who happens to say that she saw a character, which is Protobot and whatnot. And Protobot, like Silverpoint, is tamed compared to Profitbot, which isn't tamed. But pretty much the Silverpoint helps alongside to you, to which initially she meets the the cruel fate of the squares and whatnot, and is just kind of a kind of a saddening reality within um Silverpoint's life. But Silverpoint obviously comes back towards the end and whatnot, and yeah, Silverpoint ends up saving you, and Protobot, can be rebuilt and whatnot. So yeah, they both take it for a bit, but unfortunately, what it seems to be, however, Silverpoint is saved at the end. So now we get on to Protobot, and Protobot is a big lore dump on the Solstice stuff. Pretty much, he comes from the old world alongside 2 to 3 other people and whatnot, and pretty much, Protobot was supposed to be the initial person that the Messiah was supposed to talk to, but because of the World Machine slash entity doing some mixy mashy stuff, it does not help out in the end. And pretty much within regards to that, Protobot is pretty much seen towards and gives you the lore exposition dump that they are all characters and whatnot. Maybe aside from Nico and whatnot, but they are all characters, and me, the god, is pretty much, well, the only other one. Of course, this game, like, really likes, dropping the meta drops and whatnot by this point in the game, in the story and whatnot, and pretty much my PC is where the world lives in and whatnot, and yeah, we're here, are pretty much the whole, like, the whole game kind of like gets dropped at this point and whatnot, and it's kind of saddening to see Nico just enter this heroic facade once the barons are hit and whatnot. But generally, like, Protobot will serve his next purpose by being alongside the 3 that you needed and being part of the barons, which is the blue area and whatnot. And obviously Protobot plays a role and whatnot in the Solstice route of being one of the three people that are needed and whatnot. And yeah, comparatively, while Silverpoint probably is a more kind of sad, just like lonely, feels like down to the earth and whatnot, but just kind of seems depressed in of its own. Like, it's really neat that the Baron starts us off kind of being the starting, but also pretty much gives us the sad and mean life of this game and whatnot. And it really helps, and it's really touching with this game and whatnot. But yeah, Protobot is one of the three characters that you need towards the Solstice route, and Silverpoint is one of the three characters on the neutral route, who gives you the Amber. And so with that, we leave the Barrens and whatnot to head into the Glen. And the Glen is the forest, probably my favorite area in the game and whatnot. Just, it kind of feels somewhat depressing of its own, but it feels more lifelike and more, it's pretty much more lifelike in like um kind of evaporates at the same time due to like the water pretty much flooding and whatnot, but also it's kind of home to it's kind of home to nature and whatnot at its most. This is where nature is vibes at and stuff. And pretty much like the game here at this point is just like kind of telling that it's getting closer and closer to darkness and whatnot, but there's still hope, there's still a bright light. But generally you meet we obviously have pretty much yet again 3 characters to kind of mission, except we had 4 in the Barons and whatnot. This one I do believe we just have 3, but one obviously referenced is the mother of Alula and Calamus, a character that died before the events of the game began, and um, it's the Glen just feels the most normal to me, probably because it's just nature and like the grass is there and stuff. It has homes and whatnot. It may not be as big as a city, but it is filled with homes and whatnot. And it's it's a really kind of dark and deep in vibe that the Glen is and whatnot. And I think I really enjoy how it is because of that. The Glen just feels the most home-like and just feels, and there's just more nature and whatnot. And I think that's what I really like. And yeah, that's pretty much what the Glen is like. It's very nature forest like. It also has the phosphor trees that are growing, which apparently stores the most powerful phosphor, which is green phosphor. And yeah, it's really deep, and I love it. I love the Glen. My favorite area, really. Um, so that's where we're at with that one. Um, I think the next area to kind of like go off of is or I think the next thing to go off of now is like Calamus and Alula. Um, Alula is the girl that you have to save for Calamus and whatnot, and Alula is the female bird and whatnot that is trapped in the kind of like the flooded ruins department and whatnot. There actually is another character. So we'll split between Alula and Calamus, and pretty much Alula is like this happy, like ecstatic character and whatnot, to kind of be the to make the whole, to give us good vibes and whatnot, to always have a smile on her face and whatnot. She also gives us the feather and whatnot in the game and stuff. and we pretty much have to solve a puzzle that, albeit, I got stuck on because Wallpaper Engine kind of blocks your progress. You have to disable Wallpaper Engine for that puzzle alone, and yeah, that's why it took so long and whatnot in that one area. So yeah, it's kind of like, you know, happy. It's just like it's happy vibes and whatnot. But yeah, you just have to kind of look out for something like that. And so, alongside with that, we are going. Um, we go ahead to. Sorry, but we go ahead into. What is it? But yeah, we go ahead into the next. Well, that's the next thing to talk about. Oh, we go into now the plant lady stuff. Whatever, I can't remember her name is, but let me look it up on Google. But her name, since she's okay, Maze. That is the plant lady that pretty much tries to that keeps the Glen together and whatnot. And pretty much you have to help her around. You help her around by pretty much giving her the sun and whatnot, and you explore like the areas and stuff. And before you like go ahead into the city, you gotta bring the sun back with you, and she's gone, but there's a seed because she's near death and she wants to see the sun one last time. But yeah, she's near death, but she gives you a seed for an achievement. Of course, I didn't end up taking it because I decided to go home, so I killed the world instead. Um, but Maze is the plant lady who, in the Solstice route, pretty much gets herself killed so that you can go and try to save the world and whatnot. Of course, she comes back in the end, but Maze is a really while there's not much. She's the spirit of the forest and whatnot, and you help her to pretty much free that world up and whatnot. So yeah, that's Maze's role and whatnot. The next thing in the game and whatnot is the next character is Calamus. Calamus is the brother of Alula, and pretty much Calamus is the person that describes more of the mother to you and whatnot about them and their life and stuff and their home and how their freaking backyard is or their whole like area to the graves and whatnot is flooded and stuff. But pretty much Calamus, sends you on that mission to go and save Alula, and you can reunite them and stuff. And Calamus brings her around to his house alongside Alula, and pretty much no teamable. But pretty much um but Calamus really does provide within the world or within the Glen towards its ending, providing stuff to Nico and whatnot, giving all this kind of centric stuff. But pretty much those are the three before we get onto the Solstice route, which is Cedric. Cedric is the Solstice character and whatnot compared to Alula and Calamus. Whereas Alula and Calamus end up getting stuck because to the squares because of the plane being or the flying machine being broken down and whatnot. Cedric pretty much gives more exposition in how the author is his father, and he gives more information about the world machine and whatnot. Pretty much Cedric is a pilot like the author and whatnot, and the author went somewhere and whatnot. We don't know where, but pretty much he designed the world machine, and the world machine kind of crashed down and stuff. And because of that, that's why we have the world as it is, and pretty much why the entity speaks to us and us alone, before eventually it can speak to Nico. And pretty much like, what is it? Cedric will requires us to get a battery and another thing and whatnot. Oh, which is gears or bolts and whatnot. And we get those things from the guy who sells the RAM stuff. There's also oh no, not the RAM stuff, but the pretty much he's like got a flea market of his own stuff of all his valuables and whatnot. But aside from the RAM guy who is there too and whatnot, yeah, aside from the RAM guy and whatnot, uh, pretty much Cedric serves as the second character in the Solstice route that we need, who goes to the city with you and whatnot, and he's gonna go and save Protobot and stuff, and he kind of gets trapped and whatnot. Almost we are believed that he is killed, but he's actually survives and whatnot alongside Protobot and stuff, so that we can do the Solstice thing and whatnot. And yeah, just like Cedric, albeit in my opinion is kind of the weaker of the three and whatnot. He is he's pretty logical and stuff before we get to Rue, who explains it all pretty much to us. But we get the what is it? Next up, we would go to the city to go and meet ourselves our next few casts. So I didn't know the coffee person was actually a dude and whatnot. I got mixed up with the genders and whatnot. They're actually kind of fooled me and whatnot. But yeah, this guy's a dude who pretty much takes place of making pancakes and coffee and stuff, all that thing, all that sweet stuff, and he's just a really nice person and whatnot. Who talks about Polite, who is our centered character of the city in the neutral route and whatnot. Pretty much, you and Polite, pretty much you are kind of like introduced to Polite, who is at the elevator and whatnot. And Polite also takes on a bigger role in the city and whatnot, in Solstice as well. But pretty much Polite, is a lamplighter, huge worker and whatnot. And Polite, really, he's just kind of, he's pretty much a workaholic that just really likes to work and stuff. And he's just one of the, and pretty much he's probably my favorite of the few, aside from Nico. Like, Polite and Nico are probably my two favorite and whatnot. And it's totally not because Polite has pink hair and whatnot. Polite's a workaholic who pretty much becomes an evacuee worker and whatnot, who alongside you would guide you around the city and whatnot to your destination and stuff. But he also probably just has like, he's probably the most humanoid, or he's definitely the most human of the three in the neutral, or the pretty much the four of the neutral, with Silver Point, Alula, and Calamus. Polite is there to be kind of the guide of the city, but also kind of returns to work and whatnot as the lamplighter and stuff. And probably just the most down-to-earth person and stuff of the few. And he helps as this guidance, and he helps as the evacuees in the Solstice route. But pretty much you have to fix the elevator. He gives some tips and whatnot. But pretty much you have the whole quest around in the top half to get to the bottom half, or to get to the library and whatnot. But Polite is guidance and whatnot, and yeah, you meet him and stuff in the city. I am backtracking so much, I'm talking in circles. But yeah, that's Polite. in Solstice Route, he takes over as a evacuation person and whatnot. He helps the evacuees to get to certain places like the coffee, or yeah, the coffee area and whatnot, the library as well and stuff. He is the person out there, and he also helps you alongside in Solstice Route before he is trapped in the elevator by the squares and whatnot, and you can't really do anything to help him except save the world and stuff. But he's definitely one of my favorites. Pretty much one of my two favorites and stuff. I guess three if we count myself as well. In characters, you know, me, Nico, and Plight, top three characters of OneShot. And yeah, Plight is just really nice and lad, you know. Um, and yeah, of course, him kind of probably his personality bolding that like he probably gets nervous around being near the Messiah, which is Nico, and being near God as well, which is me and whatnot. But it's fine, you know. Plight's a really cool dude. Next up, we would get I guess we have like the plant person and whatnot. We have the robot where you can guide Maze's seed to. We also have we have But yeah, we have May the robot, the giant robot, where you can guide Maze to get the achievement. Of course, I didn't, even though I did the thing with her. And um, right. But yeah, next up we'll get to George, who's another one. He is the headlight, or she is the head librarian and whatnot, who pretty much apparently takes on a different personality and whatnot. But yeah, I usually got the A or the the slang kind of person and whatnot. But George is a really nice lad or lass and whatnot. And yeah, he helps around. He helps you as your guide within the library. And if you bring the book, you know, he helps decrypt it and whatnot for the god, or known as me, or any other player and whatnot. And yeah, George is a dice head and whatnot. We also have Kip. Kip is one of the head scientists and whatnot, who does indeed speak of um Silverpoint and whatnot, but yeah, she is in the robot factory and whatnot and stuff, trying to fix things and all that jazz and whatnot. But yeah, she's like pretty much supposedly supposed to be the one who Silverpoint is influenced after and whatnot, who she couldn't really tame until I think the author came around to tame the robot and whatnot. But yeah, both Kip and Silverpoint being the two and whatnot is just kind of interesting and stuff. Unfortunately, we don't get much of Kip as we do with Silverpoint, and obviously Plight is our character for the city and stuff alongside Rue, the Solstice Route. So yeah. And now we're left to Rue of the city and whatnot. Before we get down to the big three. Um, but Rue is a fox who pretty much you can encounter in the neutral game and whatnot, but doesn't really have that big of a role compared to the Solstice route. And pretty much Rue is the explainer of the whole ordeal behind the world machine, the author, the people that came alongside from the old world to this world. Pretty much this helps us as that person and stuff. And yeah, sorry, I'm kind of like, uh-oh, that ain't good. I messed something up. Sorry for getting stuck. But anyways, yeah, Rue does a huge exposition dump and whatnot. And yeah, she's just kind of like, another guidance and stuff to the game and whatnot. How did this happen, guys? I had this cool Demon Slayer ornament that I peeled off like this nice sticker to get like the whole thing, and now I think I've messed up. I think I wasn't supposed to do that. I thought initially I was supposed to, but I guess that's not the case. But yeah. Oh well. It still looks cool. But oh well. I guess I'll figure something out. Anyways. But yeah. Um But yeah, and Giru exposition dump and whatnot is the fox, and we travel alongside to go and see the city from a huge point and whatnot. And yeah, she's also probably the nicest of the three and stuff. Um, but yeah, that's Rue and whatnot. I didn't say much on her because I got distracted on the Demon Slayer ornament that I got for Christmas, but oh well. Anyways, let us get along to the three mains. The World Machine starts off first. The World Machine is behind OneShot of the world and whatnot, and pretty much helps and pretty much kind of like is also serves as the entity in the um, neutral ending, and she or well yeah I guess they are the robot that the author created and whatnot, and of course we are there to it's there to kind of just like um it is there to kind of kind of hinder but also give somewhat hints and context and whatnot, since we are the one that also has to do a lot of the puzzles alongside Nico and stuff. But yeah, the World Machine pretty much in of itself is much more explained towards the Solstice route, but yeah, the entity pretty much tries to hinder our progress, even stopping us from putting the sun in because it has to explain to us that it's either the sun or Nico goes home. And, you know, that was a huge choice that I had to make. And is just wow. It was depressing and stuff. And because of that, we obviously got to the Solstice route to get a better ending because of the entity. But it turns out the World Machine is in of itself just cracks down because it broke code and whatnot as tests and stuff, and the author was upset and whatnot, trying to fix it all up and stuff. And the World Machine created the world, and the light bulbs were gone because of that. And alongside me, it dragged Nico into the mess and stuff. And because of that, the World Machine went on this huge, just destructive, I don't know, panic situation because it doesn't really know that it is tamed and whatnot. And because of that, the consequences really hinders because of that. But yeah, all because of that and stuff, we lose out on quite a lot of things and stuff. But yeah, anyways, we get on to hold on. Alright, I'm back. But yeah, the World Machine finds out it really is tame, but it needs the guidance of Nico, and it needs to know that me, through it all as well, wanted a much more happier ending and stuff. That's what it all was kind of about and stuff. And it helps that this whole helplessness and whatnot that it has originally is then fixed by us telling it to just telling it or pretty much guiding it that there's much more that we can try and whatnot. And with that, we help tame it and whatnot, and it's just it's really sweet and all, but it's also just super depressing. It's like I haven't cried this hard in a game in a while and whatnot, and you know, it kind of just gives me the whole Mori vibes of how that went, because that also had a huge plot twist that I was I was just saddened about. And yeah, it's just kind of just depressing and whatnot. But it does help that, you know, the game is saddening, but it can be hugely beneficial and whatnot. And yeah, it's just a really kind of saddening game because of the World Machine's existence, but because the World Machine actively is its story is just it doesn't feel tamed, even though it's that benefit that it grants. So yeah, it's just it's a it's a beautiful turn of events and whatnot, and I love it for that. And yeah, I want to say that the World Machine really kind of benefits as a character on its own because of those aspects. So yeah, it's really neat and beautiful that it helps explain the whole realism that we feel in characters and whatnot. And yeah, um, I think that's generally one of the most pleasant things is to hear that the World Machine can fix things that it originally erased and whatnot. So yeah, it's really nice. Next up is me. Um, I'm Arco. This is my channel. Get my level. Yeah. What's the next playthrough? None of your business. Get him out of here. All right, let's go and move on into Nico. Nico is our star of the show here. Nico is a cat. Well, that's not true. Nico is a human cat. Yeah. Cats walk on four legs. Nico walks on two, and Nico has arms as well. And Nico also has a hat, also a scarf, also, you know, a shirt. And Nico's gender entirely depends on whatever you feel and whatnot. So me and Nico are the best buds. We are both bros, no hoes. Let's go. But yeah, Nico is the Messiah, guided by me. And pretty much we are here to restore the sun. Or are we? Well, it depends on whether or not on what your choice is. But Nico simply wants to go home after being dragged into this whole mess and stuff. Being the Messiah, the child, and whatnot. That has to help fix the world alongside me. Which also connects us between me and Nico as characters and whatnot. And yeah, I think helped with that is kind of just like the connection that the game tries to point us towards really is benefited by that point. And yeah, I think with this character development, as starts off that Nico is in the Barrens and has to go to the tower. Nico meets several friends, you know, and several guiders and stuff like Prophet Boss, Silverpoint, Little Calamus, Lula, Plight, Kip, you know, all those, and I'm on its side. I'm on their side and whatnot. And yeah, it is just really depressing considering the ending and what I have to tell Nico and whatnot, and what I have to guide Nico through. And yeah, it is. Wow, it hurts to see the position that you put in. But luckily, this game or the story really kind of helps try to bring you in the paths that you need, that it wants you to be put in alongside. So there's that to compensate for, you know. And yeah. Um so let us go ahead and continue on from that point. Um Nico and Solstice is a lot more different and whatnot. Nico now is kind of like faced with this kind of the harsh truths of what's going on and whatnot, and Nico is kind of dragged into several different things that he doesn't want to be dragged into. And it doesn't help that, like, he is the Messiah and he's the attention that the world places on him. This dying world that it places on him. So, yeah, when considering, like, that everything is just kind of tragic and whatnot, everything feels so empty and just so dead and whatnot, he is the one that must save the world, but the problem is saving the world traps him. And I let Nico go home. I helped kill the world pretty much, but I wanted to see Nico go home and whatnot. I didn't want him to feel miserable from all this time and he's never gonna see his mother. And it's just really saddening. So yeah, I just chose to kill the world. But pretty much, I think kind of like what helps is that like the connections within Solstice though is that he shows anger towards me, but I'm here because I was guided by the author themselves to see if I can get a better ending, and luckily I did and whatnot. But yeah. Um, Generally, I think I don't know whether or not my decision was a good idea and whether or not others would agree and stuff, but it's a really difficult decision towards the end. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of sad and depressing on its own. But I chose Nico to go home on the neutral route. But then Nico himself was just upset that I started the game again, even though the world was gone. Nico was home, and like I just wanted to see if there was better odds, and luckily, you know, the author guided me towards those. And the sadness, though, is that the Solstice route in and of itself is just depressing, and Nico has to also go through it and stuff, through all this mayhem, all this destruction because of the squares, the World Machine's coding. But it's people like Nico that can help bring hope to people like the World Machine and whatnot, and to the people with the thing, or you know, with the light bulb. So it's really nice and kind for someone like Nico to help these people, and alongside me and whatnot, to help to hold the world and give it what it needs, and it needs survival. But Nico needs to be home, and yeah, with both me and Nico, we help it all. Nico gets dreams about his mother all the time, and his favorite thing being pancakes. His favorite food being pancakes, and my heart is growing more than 3 times the size, and it's it's really nice. It's just really thoughtful, and I really enjoy it for what it is. So yeah, just a helpful game, and it's just really endearing and stuff. So yeah, I think in the end, um, Nico helps be one of my most favorite characters and stuff, alongside me and Plight. And yeah, it's just a really nice. He's just a really thoughtful character to come in through. So let's talk a bit more story-wise and whatnot, because I kind of bring story into the characters. I kind of mesh them a bit, so there's not a lot to talk about the story, unfortunately, when I do that. But I'll do my best. So the world is kind of gone. It's losing its grip, and the only thing that can save it is a is pretty much what can save it is pretty much the light bulb that Nico carries and three other objects, which is Amber, a necklace, the feather from the birds, and the dice from George, the head librarian. And I'm going to change the music. And pretty much you have to help Nico go and bring the light bulb to the tower to shine over the world. But the problem is that you at the same point you could also lose that feeling or lose the hope in the people by pretty much breaking it, but breaking it sends Nico home, and pretty much it's one or the other. Of course, the solstice route is different because there are three people and you learn more about the world machine, and the world machine is the one that pretty much is the creator of the world. The PC or laptop hold the world together, but it's the War Machine that ultimately, but it's both the author and the War Machine that ultimately created the world. And yeah, it is down to you who chooses the world's fate and whatnot. And so yeah, you, luckily in the Soul Sending, you can choose both and whatnot. That helps you in stuff. And depending on what you choose, you can either save the world and keep Nico trapped forever, or destroy the world and send Nico back home. And I chose to destroy the world. And yeah, pretty much everything just feels so kind of dead and depressing, but there's still the glimpse of hope and whatnot. Of course, I've explained this before and whatnot. Like I said, I kind of meshed the story in together. And yeah, it's just like, what is there left to help with the world? Well, there's people. And those people, from America's perspective, you know, they're NPCs, but they feel real to us. Their dialogue and whatnot in the world is how they feel about the situation as a whole, which makes them feel, well, whole. Makes them feel like us. Human. Specimen. Just like us, whole people. And that's kind of the meta appreciation of this game, is that these people exist too and whatnot, but pretty much you decide its fate dependent on whether or not you choose in the neutral ending. But the solstice ending allows you to confront the world machine and tell them that they're not just that they don't need to seek death, that they need to help this world be saved. And that's just a really thoughtful thing within like the game, and it's helped by Nico and whatnot. And pretty much entirely in the neutral ending, the entity was pretty much against you/me, and we wanted to see what happened, but the War Machine warned us of what would happen, but yet I wanted to guide Nico home and stuff. And it's just saddening that I'm left between two choices. And so, yeah. Luckily though, Nico is able to speak sense into the world machine to tell it that it's not just a machine. It's like us. It has feelings of its own. And Nico himself can understand that. we can understand that. Everyone in this world, except for the untamed robots, has feelings, and it really helps. It kind of nurtures and it keeps you calm, just like people near you in real life. And OneShot really does hammer this down. It's just beautiful, and it's really, really nice. So yeah, it's just it's it's a beautiful ending to a beautiful game and whatnot. And from the meta, and it's very meta. It's very meta. I know there was an older version when the game first came out, and you had to play it in fact one shot. I think you just had to play it the entire day. It was crazy, but you had to. And if you closed out on accident, Nico would die, and that was your one shot. Apparently if you do that this time, it just sends a flashback to Nico, and luckily I never encountered it because I went to bed every time that I left and whatnot. So yeah, it helped a lot, and that was just really nice. So yeah, um, within that, this has been a really lovely game. It's one of my favorites and whatnot. This was my first time playing through it, and just the whole feeling, the whole like sadness and whatnot, the depressing vibes and whatnot that this game has. It is worth your time though. It's on Steam. I don't know how much it sells. There's also the the World Machine Edition that you can get only on console, but you can get that and you can play through that. I know it's on sale on the PlayStation, so I recommend it. Thank you so much for coming by on this lovely day in this lovely bunker. Peace, peeps.